Welcome to the Sovereign Library, Horizon Life Operating Systems, Deep Dive Series, The Wilderness. Nobody warns you about the wilderness. They tell you about Egypt. The old life, the old patterns, the thing you're leaving behind. They tell you about the promised land, the life on the other side, the person you're becoming. But nobody tells you about the wilderness. The long stretch in between, the part where you are no longer who you were and not yet who you're becoming. The part with no map, no guarantee, no clear sign that you made the right choice. That part is where most people turn back, and it's the most important part of the whole journey. The wilderness is not a detour. Most people experience it as one. They left Egypt and expected the promised land to appear quickly. They expected to feel better, to feel clear, to feel like the decision was obviously right. Instead, they feel uncertain, exposed, lonely in a way they didn't anticipate. But here's what the original Exodus story understood that most modern self-help misses entirely. The wilderness wasn't the obstacle between Egypt and the promised land. The wilderness was the preparation for it. You cannot become who you're supposed to be while you're still comfortable being who you were. The wilderness is where the comfortable version of you gets replaced by the capable version. 3 things make the wilderness genuinely difficult. First, the absence of the familiar. In Egypt, everything was known. The patterns were established. The roles were clear. Even the suffering had a familiar shape. The wilderness has none of that. The old anchors are gone. The old community has thinned. What's left is space. And space, for people who have spent years filling every available moment with noise or substances or activity, is terrifying. Second, the absence of visible progress. You're moving. You feel it. But there's no milestone to point to, no external confirmation that you made the right choice. This is where the beast gets loudest. It points to the absence of visible progress as proof that you're failing. Third, the murmuring. The voice that romanticizes where you came from and catastrophizes where you're going. The beast in the wilderness doesn't say, "Go do the harmful thing." It says, "Go back to what was familiar. This new path is too hard, too uncertain. You were probably wrong about it anyway." Naming the murmuring as the beast, not as truth, not as valid feedback, is one of the most important sovereign acts available in the wilderness. In the original Exodus story, the people in the wilderness were fed by manna, provision that appeared daily, just enough for today. Not a week's supply, not a month's stockpile. Enough for today. The wilderness does not provide in advance. It provides daily. The next idea arrives when you need it, not before. The right person shows up at the right moment. The door opens when you're ready to walk through it. The sovereign practice in the wilderness is learning to receive what today provides, rather than demanding what next month requires. One day of manna at a time. One owned minute at a time. One sovereign choice at a time. The wilderness strips things away, not randomly, specifically. The identities that were borrowed rather than chosen. The relationships built on shared beast patterns rather than genuine alignment. The coping mechanisms that worked in Egypt but have no place in the promised land. This stripping feels like loss, and it is loss, real loss worth grieving. But underneath what gets stripped away is something that was always there. The authentic self, the sovereign identity, the version of you that existed before the patterns got installed and the wounds got built into walls. The wilderness doesn't create that self, it reveals it. If you are in the wilderness right now, uncertain, lonely, unable to see the full picture, wondering if you made a mistake. I want to say something directly. You are not lost. You are between. There is a profound difference. Lost means you took a wrong turn. Between means you are exactly where the journey requires you to be right now. The uncertainty is not evidence of failure. The loneliness is not evidence that you were wrong. The absence of visible progress is not evidence that nothing is happening. Something is happening. The most important thing. You are being transformed. Not by the promised land, not by Egypt, by the wilderness itself. Stay in it. Trust the manna. Name the murmuring. Own today's minutes. Let the stripping happen. The promised land is not a destination you arrive at and stay forever. It is a version of yourself you grow into, one wilderness day at a time. And you are already growing. The negotiation is over. Horizon Life Operating Systems. Deep Dive Series.